If the panelists can come in and have a seat. Thank you all for coming. I do need to give a shout out. San Jacinto Title was our coffee sponsor, so we got to thank them for all the coffee today. So we've talked about, we kind of took a little dive into Harlingen. The Brownsville conversation, I think, was a great conversation on Brownsville. But now we put together a panel on Cameron County commercial development. And once again, I think we have a great panel here to talk about this. And to moderate, we have Celine Guerrero. Celine Guerrero is Origoworks Director of Marketing and Communications. And so I will hand the mic over to her so that she can moderate this panel. Thank you, Celine.
Hello? Oh, it's on. So thank you so much, Ramiro, and thank you all for joining us today. If you were here for the last two sessions, you have heard from Harlingen and from Brownsville, and they had some really great new updates and then just an overview of what's happening and what the landscape is like there in their cities. With this discussion, this is Cameron County, so it's a culmination of what is happening here in Cameron County as far as commercial real estate. We have three leading real estate professionals who I am going to hand over and let them introduce themselves. But thank you all so much for participating, and I look forward to hearing all about what's happening and what you guys are tapping into. So I'll go ahead and start here.
Thank you, Celine, for having me. My name is Matthew Lopez. I'm with OW Real Estate. We're a sister company of Origoworks, which is a real estate developer here. We're a full-service real estate firm. We invest pretty heavily here locally, and we're slowly branching out.
Hi, good morning. My name is Pete Torres. I'm an associate with Southern Commercial Real Estate Group. Live here in Brownsville. Office is based out of Harlingen. We're a boutique group, so we work in a little bit of all the asset classes in the commercial real estate field. Primarily do retail in all of South Texas, so San Antonio, Laredo, Corpus, and down, and all the small communities in between.
Hello, my name is Louie, Tijerina. I'm a commercial real estate broker for CBRE. I've been in the business about 10 years. I moved back to Brownsville about 5 years ago during the pandemic. My specialty is in retail, but being down here, I really work on a little bit of everything, kind of a local market expert for CBRE.
Oh, thank you, guys. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. As I said, we have had these discussions, in the previous panels, but we are seeing a huge growth pattern happening in Cameron County. And a lot of it is in part due to people relocating here, moving here, whether it's due to the LNG expansion, SpaceX's continued growth. So with that said, what trends are you seeing as far as people? What expectations, I guess, do they have as far as like retail and commercial, whether it's more of a mixed use, is it more in residential, what type of retail needs or trends are you seeing that are new now to the area? And I'll go ahead and let Louie go ahead and take that.
Yeah, I can answer a little bit about that. So here in Brownsville, we really have majority of our developments are single family homes. And so retail really follows homes. And so we, like some people say, we really don't have a lot of apartment complexes that have been being built. It's mainly just urban development, single family homes. So really when it comes to retail, it's really just the basics is looking at community style retail, because if you look at other cities in the valley, we're underserved when it comes to retail, the number of homes we have versus the number of retail options we have. And so one of the problems that we have here in Brownsville primarily is we don't have a lot of trade areas. Everyone's going to the same location. So as the city continues to grow, that's not sustainable. So looking at different parts of the city, and making sure that we've got, because right now they're not really like retail centers anymore. They're trying to build community centers. That's where like big box retail is evolving, and that's why you see entertainment, because they're not just places that people are going to shop. It's where people are going to experience. Right now, the makeup of the city and the county is changing, so that's really in flux. Mm-hmm. It's in flux because you have this new demand that's coming, but you also have to serve the old demand. So it's going to be interesting to see how the two are going to kind of coexist, and to see how, like, us as retailers, but the people that are investing right now, it's not a lot of money from outside. It's people like Origoworks that believe in the city and see what's going on, because those are ones that are going to be first to the table.
Right. And kind of going back to what you said as far as retailers wanting to provide a more of an experience. So it's that more of a live, work, and play kind of experience where you're dining. Now you have, with Sable Market Center, you have that concert venue. And I do want to give everyone a chance to speak on this. So I'll start with you, Matt. What kind of shift are you seeing as far as that need, or I guess that trend with having more of this entertainment, dining, and more of that experience? And is that also shifting on like the space and the size that these businesses are looking for?
Yeah, so I think it's pretty obvious that the way that we dine, entertain, eat has kind of changed in the city. It's really evolving, and we're trying to evolve with it. I think the three of us had the opportunity to be at ICSC in Dallas, and I'm sure Louie and Pete can agree that the Rio Grande Valley is pretty much on the map now. These national retailers know where we are. They're interested in bringing their businesses down here. And it was really cool to see the redevelopment of Sable Market Center, and we have the Le Vivo music venue, which is going to be, state of the art. It's cool to see that we have that kind of demand here now. And I think that, Brownsville is just going to continue growing. You can kind of compare it to, the McAllen and everything that's over there. But McAllen's nowhere to grow anymore. So Brownsville, we still have a lot of land. We can still continue to expand outwards, and it's a really exciting time to be here.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Sure. So I'd like to real quick go back to the overarching theme of growth in Cameron County and Brownsville Harlingen MSA. I think one of the things that's interesting, if you guys go look at census data, so the population is growing. It's stably growing, so it's not this crazy growth. And I think you look at sales tax data, that's also growing. It grew pretty good, but you take inflation into account, and it's also pretty stable. But what's interesting is, and I think this goes to kudos to the local leadership and EDC folks, is the number of jobs is, far outpacing the growth in population and sales tax. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So that kind of tells me that going forward, some of that population growth is going to come because it's a little bit of a lagging effect. I also think that the report we were kind of shared, the van moving inbound report, if I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah, it was the Allied Moving Company that they had that report.
Yeah, so 78% in Brownsville, Harlingen MSA. And what that tells me is the people that are moving here, they're hiring moving companies to move here, right? And so, like, if you're from the Valley, born and raised, like, moving companies, 50-50, maybe you do that. So that tells me that the type of jobs that are coming into Cameron County are high-paying jobs, right? And I think I'm going to go back and jump on Louie's comment earlier. So in Brownsville in particular, if it's a 956 number, the trade area they're looking at 100% of the time is, I want to be on Morrison and Pablo Quisel, right? 100% of the time. If it's a non-956 number, they tell us, I want to be on the expressway from, 802 to Altingloor. Can you do it? And so I think that's going to be something unique for Brownsville going forward, is how those trade areas open up. Because something that Matthew also alluded to is everybody knows about Brownsville. Everybody wants to be in Brownsville. If they're not here, they're just on the sideline, right? Until those trade areas, as Louie mentioned, open up.
Okay, and I do want to kind of tap back into these different developments, and maybe Matt, you can tell us a little bit more about what's going on as far as like moving out to 511 and the growth happening there, and again, going back to the workforce and the expansion of the workforce, and there being a need for more retail, more housing in that area. So can you just like give us a quick overview of any developments or anything that are going on?
Yeah, we have a large demand for retail, obviously, and a lot of multifamily. Obviously, we have a lot of investment that was brought into Brownsville with SpaceX and LNG. LNG, of course, bringing about 5,000 temporary jobs, and SpaceX bringing a large number as well. You know, LNG is going to be about 400 permanent jobs, so it's great to see that kind of economy come here. And I mean, we'll see if Elon, I guess, keeps his word, but he also said, you know, on Twitter that he would be bringing the SpaceX headquarters here, which is a huge influx of money. It's about 4,000 people in California that are at the SpaceX headquarters, all with a medium salary of 100,000 plus. So it'd be great to see that here in the Valley. And of course, all these national retailers are slowly taking that into consideration. And I think it's really put us on the map. And then, of course, we have these, mixed-use developments coming up. We have Moderator coming up because we can expand so much. And so seeing the Moderator development coming up as a mixed use is really cool. And then, of course, I guess Origoworks had tried our hand at mixed use, and it was a success. We have Botica Lofts down the street. We have a Calacas on the first floor, and then we're fully leased upstairs. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, there definitely is that trend that is, coming from these people coming from bigger metro areas where they are used to being able to walk, have a little bit more of a walkable type of experience. You go to dinner, you go listen to some music. So, and we do have, and I will like plug our projects. So we do have the Port of Brownsville, a development that's going up there, and in Traxler in Harlingen. But we're really trying to blend, those types of, brand like retail experiences for the community, and we have seen a growth happening here in downtown with the redevelopment and Palm, being redeveloped, Sable being redeveloped. So, Louie, I kind of want to ask you, as far as like any like different, I guess, like what kind of signals do you see, like when you're working with, whether it's a big box, whether it's someone local in the community, what type of market signals do you look out for and say, yeah, you know what, I think we're ready for that to happen here?
Well, I think, a big market signal is just availability of good space, assuming that we have well built out space. So there's a lot of different retail centers that are developed here that are not going to be candidates for national retailers. They're built perpendicular to the street. They don't have a lot of parking. The access is poor. There's no left in, left out. There's just certain things that they're not going to. They're just automatically is going to be off the list. And so when the ones that are on the list are eligible, start getting filled up, that's a big signal that there's, a demand. We already know that there's a demand for a lot of retail in Brownsville. The next thing you look at is when you start having new developments or redeveloped centers. Those centers, what's happening is like in a redeveloped center, the only way that they can, like they said in the earlier, it's all about numbers and cents. It's black and white in real estate. A developer, you guys bought Palm Village for a certain amount of money. You're putting a certain amount of money into it. You're going to elevate the rents. And so a signal is going to be like, okay, these people are going to start paying the rents. Let's just say it's double the rent or it's 75% more of the rent. Are these businesses sustainable? Are they going to stand the test of time? And that's why what they said, tenant mix is so important, because the person that's dropping off their kid for the art studio is going to go to the gym, and so that both of them are membership driven businesses. So those membership driven businesses are able to get the rent. And so for us, like when I'm advising a tenant, it depends who they are, but like a good metric is like 10% of total, like that's what your occupancy cost should be. And so you know, if you're paying $60,000 a year in rent, well, you should be making at least $600,000 a year in revenue. If you're not, then you got to ask yourself, is that a good business decision? And so that's going to be the challenge in 3-4 years. Are these tenants able to sustain? Are there people that are coming to the shopping center to buy?
Yeah. Do you all, either of you have anything else to add, Pete?
Yeah, sure. So I think when we look at, I guess, you know, in this case, future retail corridors or how they're going to start to unfold, I presume the first thing we're going to look at is traffic, and because you'll see a lot of places in the valley and in Cameron County where there's a lot of traffic, and you're like, man, it's just really green. There's nothing happening here. And then as soon as, you know, because with traffic, you'll get some users who will, you know, come and plant their flag there. And as those users come, other users will also come. And I should have mentioned this first. I'm specifically kind of talking about retail here because in retail, you know, we're followers. So we chase synergy. And so nobody really likes to be the first person at an intersection. We want to go, you know, second or third and not be fourth and fifth. Louie would probably agree. And so I think what we look at first is we go boots on the ground, we look at the intersection, and if you go at 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning, and then at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, that gives you a real good feel for traffic, and then it'll give you a real good feel for, you know, the potential of an intersection. And then a secondary layer to that is if there is the kind of the predisposition of land and whether there are landowners that are going to be conducive to doing developments. Because any type of development, you know, it takes a year to 2 years to kind of get going. And so a lot of landowners in Cameron County, in the Rio Grande Valley and South Texas in particular, you know, they'll sell you land, but they want you to close in like 45 days. And so that's kind of a challenge that I think all of us kind of run through as we're trying to help people and open up trade areas.
Thank you. So I'm kind of keeping with that, with these signals. You know, recently I saw an article talking about how these shopping centers are making that comeback. And going back to that experience, people are shopping differently. People are experiencing differently. So as far as, you know, site selection goes, and Matt, I'll let you lead this conversation, and, you know, please feel free to hop in to the other panelists. But, you know, what is it, you know, that you look out for? What are tenants asking for with these shopping centers making this comeback? They're usually anchored by a big box. So what is that looking like, and how's that trend shifting?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. It's really cool to see like Palm Village. So like we had a redevelopment there, and we're trying to attract, of course, national retailers, national tenants, and then of course we have some regional tenants that have been coming in, which is great. The good thing about, I guess, being in a center, and especially a center that with such a prime location like that, one thing that helped us with site selection is the number of roofs that are in the area. We kind of have one of the highest income neighborhoods right outside, and we also have 10 schools within a 1 mile radius of it. So it's a pretty good indicator of, I guess, what's going to be a good location for a tenant. We also have about 20 to 30,000 cars per day that are on Palm Boulevard. So it's really good data to be able to present to these national retailers. And kind of going off of what Louie and Pete were talking about, you know, we have these, you don't want to be the first guy on the intersection and stuff. So it's been really cool to see, I mean, I know this is, you know, Cameron County, but we had IKEA, you know, announce that they're going to be opening up in Hidalgo County with a smaller concept. So it's really cool to see these, you know, pioneers that are going to be coming in here and being the first ones to break the ice.
Yeah, so they are starting with that smaller concept and kind of testing it out here. So I do want to open up the question as far as like what Matt was talking about to either of you, if you have anything else to add to that, as far as what tenants are asking for, looking for, that rise in that shopping center and what it looks like, when you're presenting a space.
Yeah, I think tenants are overall getting smaller. I mean, you've got people shopping online, so things are a little different. And then I think just like the basic standards of retail. I mean, a big challenge that a lot of these spaces have right now that are being redeveloped is they're just too deep. Because people are getting smaller, when you have deep space, like 150, 200 feet of deep space, you're going to have a small storefront. And so landlords are having to make the tough decision, well, do they want to go with these tenants? Are these tenants going to help them? And then if people build spaces that are too shallow, some tenants won't go in too shallow space. So if your bay depths are 50 feet or under, a national tenant probably won't look at it. I represent Dollar Tree, so a lot of the retail centers that are developed here, we have to do like an 18-wheeler that's like 67 feet long, and it can't circulate unless there's like a 22-foot turn radius. So a lot of people don't even think about that turn radius, and so like there's automatically a lot of centers are just off the list. And so it's just knowing what tenants are looking for and developers kind of preparing that, because right now we're at a point where we have so much demand, so that's when people start building spec. So that means they're speculative developers, so you're hoping that these speculative developers are building the right type of product, because if not, then they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because those national tenants, if they want those national tenants that are going to help for the tenant mix, it's probably not going to probably not going to choose those centers.
Yeah, I'll piggyback a little bit off of that. I think so. If any of the business owners in here have a lease coming due pretty soon, and you're in Brownsville, I would start your renewal now. So what's kind of interesting in Brownsville is that if you look around, there haven't been many shopping centers built since COVID, but demand for space, as Louie mentioned, is still there from local and nationals. And so that's causing rents to go up. So you'll see rents in some centers, and I might be getting too technical here, but I think when I first started with Southern Commercial, I think rents were like 17, 18 for kind of normal spaces plus the operating expenses, and that number might double on some people if so they might get surprised. So I guess that's why I make that little joke to renew now. But I think when it comes to site work or site selection work for shopping center spaces and stuff like that, there's a typical model that a lot of tenants like to have, and it kind of goes from the national guys and kind of comes all the way down to the local guys. And so essentially, they want to face the street. They don't want to be 200, 300 feet away from the street. So you got to really think about how you're going to plan your future retail center. Because that'll make all the world of a difference as you try to go lease, or if you're a tenant trying to go lease. Because really what you want to do for your consumer, your client, you want to make it very easy for them to come to your store or to buy whatever it is you're trying to sell. If I'm not trying to buy something from you, but it's so easy, I just make a right turn, go in and go do it, that's really the type of real estate you're looking for. You don't want to put any challenges or any obstacles in front of the customers and your business. And so I think when it comes to site work, it's just finding those really convenient spots that have really cool co-tenants, and that's kind of what we see a lot of from the groups that we work with.
Thank you. So going back to where we started, I think Matt had mentioned how there's now this growth that's happened in the Upper Valley. McAllen has. And I don't, want to say there's like an overspill now happening to neighboring communities. I want to ask you all, what makes Cameron County, what separates our growth potential versus, the Upper Valley versus other metro areas? What strategic differences do we have that kind of give us a leg up in bringing in these bigger names, expanding more, expanding our retail, creating that mixed use type of style? And You look like you're ready to go.
Yeah, no. I do a lot of work in McAllen, and when I moved down here 5 years ago, one of the things was, am I going to office in McAllen or am I going to office in Brownsville? And so I made the decision in 2020 to office here in Brownsville because, I thought that the future would be here. I thought there was more opportunity on the horizon in Brownsville. I think there's a lot of challenges, too, that we have to look at, but I think being truly a border city where, if you look at, the past, all these cities in the Upper Valley are really long and narrow because like you had the porciones that were being given out in the Spanish land grants, and in Brownsville kind of wraps the entire border. And then our MSA versus their MSA, it's something completely different. So you can have you can have like a Macy's over there and a Macy's over here. Like the spacing is there. I think an opportunity and a challenge is the amount of space we have. I think there was like an Instagram post about like McAllen's 50 square miles and Brownsville's 150 square miles. Well, that's a really big challenge because the city of Brownsville has to provide services for 150 square miles, has to put infrastructure for 150 square miles versus, McAllen, who's making all this money in their I-10, in their 10th Street corridor, through commercial. We have to be strategic in where those trade areas are so we can gain that sales tax in commercial. If not, everything's just going to be going to one place, and that's just not sustainable. We have to spread everybody around. So I think right now we're at that moment where where is it going to go? And I think everyone knows that like there's this growth, but I don't think like we have actually felt it yet. And I think things are coming, and we're just kind of interested to see where it's going to land.
Thank you. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I guess kind of piggybacking off of what Louie just said, Brownsville is almost double the size of McAllen, so we have a lot of potential to continue to expand. And if you look up, the census reports and stuff, they claim that we have 180,000. I think everybody can agree that is incorrect when it hits 5 o'clock here. But something that keeps people coming, of course, is our proximity to South Padre Island, and a lot of it is, international traffic. Obviously, our proximity to the border gives us an advantage with these national retailers and stuff. It's more of a matter of putting those numbers in front of them and kind of persuading them to take everything into account. And I think our geographical location provides a huge advantage for us for the future.
All right. And I think I'll go ahead and close it and just kind of do a full circle here, and then we'll open it up to some questions. But kind of just going back to what type of trends you're seeing, whether it's, different asset types, what's that demand for? Is it more office? Is it multifamily residential, retail, industrial? Where do you see some of that growth happening? And I'll give you all a chance. I'll go ahead and start with you, Pete.
I think the asset class that probably saw a lot of growth and is going to continue to see growth is multifamily. I think there's still a lot of available dirt that makes sense at reasonable prices. And I think there's still plenty of people who would like to find spaces to rent at a number that makes sense for them. But that said, I think in retail, you're going to see a lot of retail development, I think, within the next 2-3 years maybe. And I think it's because we went so long without any new retail centers that rents are going to go up to a point where new retail makes sense, right? So, rents aren't going to scare people anymore. It's just going to be a part of life. And if you go to, the Central Texas area, rents of like $40, $50, they scare me, but they don't scare tenants anymore. And so when you're in the valley and you're talking higher numbers than 20, which used to scare people out the door, I don't think that's the case. So I think you'll see new retail development coming. And I think what's cool about retail is it's exciting because everybody gets to see it and touch it and feel it, and everybody has a part in it. Not knocking on industrial, but when there's an industrial warehouse, great for the community and the economy. But, my mom doesn't say, oh, wow, did you know that this is opening over there? Because, that's something that we see every day in retail.
Matt, would you like to tap in on what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's really cool to see, I guess talking about it again, but the Moderator mixed-use development. We now have, I think it was 3 master plan communities. Seeing that was really cool. We're gonna have some kind of commercial going on in the front, and it's a huge, project going on. And I think going off of what Bruno had said earlier, that seeing these clients that come to him talking about oh, can I get a place for $1,100, and like unfortunately that's not the reality here anymore. So I think that a really strong asset class right now, especially in Brownsville, with the LNGs and the SpaceX coming around, is definitely multifamily.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think all the asset classes are interesting. Well, maybe not office here in the Valley, but I think the rest of them are very interesting for Cameron County. I don't know if we're at a landing spot yet with the workers. You keep hearing more and more workers, and then you hear GBIC talking about all these different industrial projects that are coming. So those industrial projects are going to grow our industrial corridor. We know there's a lot going on at the port. So I think the silent one that you don't hear about too much is these industrial developments. I think you hear a lot about these housing developments, but where are these housing developments coming from? They're coming from workers that are at these industrial, and then retail. Retail always follows houses. So I'm working on the Moderator commercial. I'll give a little plug. Right across from Rancho Viejo, we're working on just traditional community retail, to serve Rancho Viejo, to serve the Moderator development. I'm also working with Roads on the Estrella project. We're doing a strip center there. They're going to put their design studio in there, which I think both projects are going to be very good for Brownsville. I don't know if that's going to be it, or we're still going to have these other developments, but these two are going to be really special because they're master plan communities, and so one of them, is going to have, Moderator is going to have different builders that you're going to be able to work with, and then Estrella is going to be different because you've got one developer that's developing the whole thing, and it's going to be vertically integrated. So you're going to be picking your everything out, and they're going to have it planned out. So I think those two, there's going to be commercial around it, and then multifamily. Multifamily is going to be interesting because when you think multifamily, a lot of times you think like vertical, like apartment complexes. But if you look at Hidalgo, and sometimes we do follow Hidalgo, and the only reason we follow Hidalgo is because the same developers that are developing in Hidalgo have reached a capacity, and they're like, well, let me go to Cameron County now, and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing a lot of people that have been developing over there coming over here because they're kind of done with the stuff over there, and we're the new flavor of the week. So over there, what they did, and I hope like our cities to kind of take note is, that you have these duplex, triplex, quadplex communities that are built, and we have a lot more utilities and different utility companies that we can work with. They have their different challenges kind of in the Mid-Valley, but it'll be interesting on the multifamily side if you kind of see those quadplex communities start to kind of pop up around our what you call like the suburban fringe. So like you're kind of on the outsides of the cities, and that's what you're seeing. The suburban fringe is starting to come up.
Awesome. Thank you all. I am going to open it up to the audience if there are any questions for our panelists. Did I see any? And there's a mic going around if you do need
Well,
that.
I'll pick up on the gentleman's. I don't know his name, but he asked about transportation on the last panel. The transportation projects that come to mind: Second Causeway, East Loop, Boca Chica expansion all the way out to Boca Chica. What do y'all think about that? And like I said, I'm just picking up on his question. But those are, I think, the three in Cameron County that I can see being an impact. So,
yeah, I think connectivity is a big issue as we grow, being connected within the city. I mean, Brownsville and Cameron County really is different than the Upper Valley. The Upper Valley's on a grid system, and we're not. We have resacas. Our streets are formed around them, And so if we don't look at, we have bigger challenge. It costs us more money to build roads than it costs them, because we have to build what's called culverts. And so we have to, build over water if we're going to go through, if we're going to go over. And so the way we were developed, we kind of wound all the way around it. So, and then we also had these trains that ran around our city. So we didn't develop, I talk a lot about that on my campaign, is like on the west side, things weren't developed because you had this train. So, I think looking at these connectors, East Loop is important for our industrial corridor, but I think, looking at the Old West Rail is going to be really important. The county's doing something there. The second causeway is really necessary. I think for emergencies. I mean, I was talking with our firefighters, and if something happens, at Starbase, and we only have one causeway. I mean, the people on the island. I mean, that's going to be a tragedy. And so I think that's the same thing for us. I mean, I think if you remember when at like 7:30 in the morning, like a 18-wheeler flipped. I mean, the whole city was like in chaos because no one could be connected. So like looking at these emergency corridors, I like to call them, or like ways out of the city, is super important for our growth, because it shouldn't take 20 minutes to get from the east side of town to the highway. It's easier to get to Harlingen, from the expressway than it is to get just to the expressway from, the airport.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Like really being mindful of the infrastructure and prepping the area for that growth. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Yes, a question about, are you trying to recruit downtown, midtown, uptown based on infrastructure, or just whoever lands, anchor stores, locally owned stores?
I think so. That's a very good question. It's also I think there's different layers there. I would think, as far as some of the groups that we work with, like, for example, convenient-oriented users, downtown is not something that's on their radar, just because everything is based on the car, right? So they're in and out, got to get, it's all about access and speed and how quickly they can get in and out of somewhere, and if they're visible. I think with downtown, though, I certainly think, because we used to never get calls where, hey, is there anything downtown in Brownsville? Like that was, and that slowly just started to happen more and more and more. I don't, in particular, work in Brownsville on the downtown stuff. I think Louie's probably done a couple of deals that he could shed some light on, but I know that there's certainly activity with even nationals trying to possibly look at doing some downtown stuff.
I mean, I can tell a personal story on that. With my building, with our building, the Coca-Cola building, I put it on the MLS and that kind of stuff. I didn't get one call from a realtor. The building's 100% occupied. Actually, Louie is a great tenant, and I see him every day. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a challenge for urban centers, Harlingen, Brownsville, in the revitalization efforts anywhere. The first people that move into a downtown area are locals, are people that believe in the vision, and then the others, the nationals, follow, right? And I think Brownsville specifically is kind of on that, teetering on that edge right now. We've had the visionaries, we've had the restaurants, we have people investing, local people, and we're almost there. That's a personal story. I'm not on the panel.
Yeah, I think like when I talked a little bit about how everybody that's moving here and everyone that's from here is going to kind of blend together, I think that kind of goes to that point. Like you see it downtown, you see people, from Brownsville that are enjoying downtown, but you also see people from SpaceX that are enjoying downtown. And like Ramiro said, like he really talked about like what you call like an urban pioneer. So like most people are used to traditional developments that are suburban, like national retailers, but like these urban pioneers is more like the artisan and the local entrepreneur that's wanting to bring this to Brownsville. And those investments means for like these investors are very different, because now you're dealing with like tax credits and different things that go into the investment model that like most people aren't used to. And if you're not from Brownsville and you don't understand that investment model, then it's probably not going to get done, because somebody that's not from Brownsville or someone that's looking to invest their money, a downtown project is a really different like avenue to make money on. Well, ideally, you'd want to spread things out, because you don't want to have, you don't want people to only want to get out of the location. Like I take for like the example that right next to the Red Lobster, that gas station, like that intersection is so jam packed, like that nothing's been able to like last there at that gas station. It's an undersized lot, and so like nobody wants to stay at that intersection. They just want to get out of the corner of 802 and the freeway. The last thing it's not a convenience store anymore. It's inconvenient, and so it's kind of like the reverse. So we want to try to avoid that, and so that's a challenge that like I think all cities have, because as we grow and our tax bill goes up and gentrification, like there's going to be side effects to what's going on, and so we have to be aware of those things.
Yeah, I think going off of Pablo Quisel and Sunrise Mall area off the frontage, I think that's every retailer's dream right now. But slowly, kind of like what Ramiro said, we have these people that believe in downtown Brownsville. We have local tenants coming in. Calacas is going to be downtown too right now, which is at this point a regional tenant. So it's mostly just about getting the word out there, and then slowly the national tenants will follow.
I've got a question. In your opinion, the three of you, who is the next large, impactful tenant that you see moving to Brownsville?
None that I can say right now.
I mean, the one I like right now is Strawberry Square, Boca Chica Square. Ross and Ulta, I think, are coming to Boca Chica. So I think that's cool, because that's gonna pull some people from having to go from South Brownsville to like North Brownsville to go to the Ross, or for them to go to, and then an Ulta on Boca Chica. I think it's creating like. When I take like a national through Boca Chica, like they call it scrappy, and so I think Boca Chica Square getting that Ulta and getting that Ross and with the DDs is going to be a cool thing. But I don't know if you guys can announce anything. But
I think so. This is gonna for the Brownsville Harlingen MSA. I think not too far off there might be somebody coming that would certainly help. Promote the entire area. I don't know if it'll be in Brownsville. And you could argue that it's going to serve Brownsville because, I think Louie mentioned earlier that if you're in Brownsville and to go to the Harlingen San Benito area, from my house here in Brownsville to get to the office, it's 22, 23 minutes. To get to 802 and 40 and 48, sometimes it takes me just the same amount of time. And so to answer that question, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be in Brownsville, but I know that things are on the drawing board for Cameron County, and I think it's going to serve all of Cameron County, not just one community or the other. I can't say, and it's all.
I think Natural Grocer is another one that's been like something for Brownsville. I toured with them when they were looking in Brownsville and when they were looking in McAllen, and I'm helping them with McAllen. And part of the strategy with Natural Grocer was to come into Brownsville first because they wanted to beat out Sprouts. Sprouts was negotiating on that same box. And so Natural Grocer made the strategic decision, if we're going to beat Sprouts in the Valley, we're going to go to Brownsville first so that we can perform in Brownsville and then we can outposition them in McAllen. So I think that's something to be proud of, and they're doing well. They were in town last week looking at a box in McAllen because they're doing well in Brownsville, so now they're going to go to McAllen.
Are we close to time? We are.
I think
okay.
so.
We'll be mingling afterwards, but we can all definitely agree that this area, Cameron County, is definitely on the grow, and it's a great time for businesses and investors to really take advantage of the opportunities happening here. And I'd like to thank the panel. Who better to tell us about what's happening? You guys are there, living it, breathing it, and really helping with the experience of Cameron County and creating that. So thank you all, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Celine. So it is 12. On the calendar, we have at 12:30 to start the next panel. But if you look just outside that window, there's La Huera hamburgers for lunch. So we'll come back at about 12:30.